You know that feeling when you look at your garden beds and realize your soil looks more like concrete than the rich, crumbly earth you see in those glossy gardening magazines? I've been there, standing in my backyard with a shovel that bounced off the ground like I was trying to dig through pavement. The good news is that you don't need to spend months composting or break your back double digging to transform depleted soil into a thriving ecosystem. This method is for gardeners who want maximum results with minimal effort, and yes, it really works in just 30 days. Understanding your soil's silent cry for help. Before we dive into the restoration process, let's talk about what's actually happening beneath your feet. Most gardeners focus on what they can see above ground, but the real magic happens in the soil. When soil becomes compacted, depleted, or chemically imbalanced, it's essentially suffocating. The beneficial microorganisms that should be breaking down organic matter and feeding your plants are either dead or dormant, and the soil structure has collapsed into dense layers that roots simply cannot penetrate. The lazy gardener's approach works because, well, it mimics what nature does naturally in forests and prairies. Instead of fighting against natural processes, we're actually going to accelerate them using targeted amendments and strategic layering. This isn't about expensive inputs or complicated schedules, it's really about understanding that soil restoration is fundamentally about creating the right conditions for biological activity to just explode back to life. The foundation is all about testing and assessing your starting point. Your first step doesn't require any digging or heavy lifting, honestly. Just grab a simple soil test kit from your local garden center, or maybe send a sample to your county extension office. You need to know 3 critical numbers: pH level, nitrogen content, and organic matter percentage. Most struggling soils fall into pretty predictable patterns. pH is either too high or too low, nitrogen is locked up and unavailable, and organic matter sits below the critical 2% threshold. While you're waiting for those test results, go ahead and perform the jar test. Fill a mason jar about 1/3 full with soil from different spots in your garden. Then add water until the jar is 2/3 full. Give it a really good shake, and then let it settle for about 24 hours. The layers that form will tell you, well, just about everything you need to know about your soil structure. Sand settles first at the bottom, then silt, and then clay, with organic matter usually floating right on top. If your jar shows mostly clay and only a little bit of organic matter, you're looking at compacted, nutrient-poor soil that's honestly crying out for restoration. Week 1 is what I like to call the biological awakening. The first week is all about waking up the soil biology that's been dormant in your compacted earth. Start by applying a thin layer of high-quality compost directly to the soil surface. Don't dig it in just yet, remember we're being lazy and strategic here. The compost acts as both food and shelter for the microorganisms we want to encourage. Next, create a microbial tea using the simplest method possible. Take a handful of your best compost, wrap it in cheesecloth, and steep it in a 5-gallon bucket of water for 24 hours. Add a tablespoon of molasses to feed the beneficial bacteria and fungi. This liquid gold gets applied directly to your soil using a watering can or sprayer. You're essentially inoculating your soil with millions of beneficial microorganisms that will begin breaking down organic matter and creating soil structure. So, the key during this first week is moisture management. Your soil needs to stay consistently damp but never waterlogged. Think of it like keeping a sourdough starter alive. The microorganisms need moisture to function, but too much water drives out oxygen and, well, kills them. A light daily watering or a soaker hose on a timer works perfectly for this phase. By the second week, those microorganisms are starting to multiply and spread throughout your soil. Now it's time to give them more substantial food sources. This is where the lazy gardener's secret weapon comes into play. Readily available organic amendments that require zero preparation. Just spread a 2-inch layer of aged manure or mushroom compost over your existing compost layer. If you can't find aged manure, bagged organic compost from the garden center works just fine. The goal here is to create a buffet of organic matter in different stages of decomposition. Some materials break down quickly and provide immediate nutrition, while others decompose slowly and build long-term soil structure. Add a light sprinkling of organic fertilizer with balanced NPK numbers. Fish emulsion works exceptionally well during this phase because it provides both nutrients and additional beneficial microorganisms. The smell might make your neighbors wonder what you're up to, but it dissipates quickly, and, honestly, the results speak for themselves. This is also the perfect time to address pH issues if your soil test revealed problems. For acidic soil, add lime according to package directions. For alkaline soil, incorporate sulfur or organic acidifiers. The beautiful thing about doing this during active biological restoration is that the microorganisms help buffer pH changes, making corrections more gentle and longer lasting than harsh chemical adjustments. The third week focuses on creating the physical structure that will support healthy plant growth for years to come. Your soil should already be noticeably softer and darker than when you started. If you can now push a screwdriver 6 inches into the ground with moderate pressure, the biological processes are working exactly as intended. Layer on organic matter with different textures and decomposition rates. Shredded leaves provide carbon and improve drainage in clay soils. Grass clippings add nitrogen and break down quickly to feed soil organisms. Coffee grounds from your local cafe contribute acidity and attract earthworms, which are nature's perfect soil aerators. The lazy gardener's trick here is to let earthworms do the mixing for you. Instead of laborious digging and turning, create conditions that attract earthworms and let them incorporate your amendments naturally. They're incredibly efficient at creating stable soil aggregates, and their castings are pure plant nutrition. A healthy soil restoration project should attract dozens of earthworms within the first 3 weeks. Your final week is about fine-tuning and setting up systems for long-term success. By now, your soil should have a rich, earthy smell and a noticeably improved texture. Water should penetrate easily instead of running off the surface, and you should see visible signs of biological activity like fungal threads and decomposing organic matter. Apply your final amendments strategically based on what you're planning to grow. If you're preparing beds for heavy feeders like tomatoes or corn, add extra compost and organic fertilizer. For herbs or plants that prefer leaner soil, focus on materials that improve drainage like aged bark or perlite mixed into the top few inches. This is also when you establish your maintenance routine. The lazy gardener's soil restoration doesn't end after 30 days. It transitions into a sustainable system that maintains itself with minimal input. Set up a simple composting system if you don't already have one. Even a basic 3-bin system or tumbling composter will provide you with the organic matter needed to keep your soil healthy for years to come. The most successful soil restoration projects are those that don't stop after the initial 30-day intensive period. Plan to add organic matter to your beds at least twice per year, once in early spring and again in fall. Now, this doesn't mean starting the whole process over. It simply means maintaining the biological activity you've worked so hard to establish. And hey, consider cover crops for any beds that won't be planted immediately. Even fast-growing options like crimson clover or winter rye will continue improving soil structure while protecting your investment from erosion and compaction. When you're ready to plant, just cut the cover crop at ground level and let it decompose right there, adding even more organic matter to your restored soil. The transformation you'll see in your garden after implementing this lazy gardener's method will convince you that healthy soil is the foundation of everything else you want to accomplish. Your plants will be more resilient, your watering needs will decrease, and you'll spend less time fighting pest and disease problems because healthy soil grows healthy plants. Remember, the best gardeners aren't necessarily the ones who work the hardest, they're the ones who work the smartest. This 30-day soil restoration method proves that dramatic improvements are possible when you understand and cooperate with natural processes instead of fighting against them. Ready to transform your garden from the ground up? Try this method in your own garden and let us know how it works for you in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to Hydrohaven for more practical gardening wisdom that actually works. and share this guide with fellow gardeners who are ready to stop struggling with poor soil. Your future self, and your plants, will thank you for taking these 30 days to build the foundation for years of gardening success.